Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Vegan Proteins Muscles by Brussels Radio. My name is Danny, and today we have Katya, and today is episode 108.
Hi, guys.
So today we are going to be interviewing Katya Gorbacheva, who is a member of our plant-built powerlifting team that I feel like I've known you on the internet for like a pretty long time, actually, but we only met in person in October at the Vegan Strong Plant Built Team's Mr. America get together, where she kicked so much ass at the powerlifting meet. It was really, really awesome to see that level of intensity brought to the platform by a vegan female powerlifter. It was very, very cool. And also, even though Katya was competing all day that day, she made sure that I stayed fed because running the event, I was not doing a great job taking care of myself, and she literally made sure that I kept eating, and she gave me a whole packet of tofurkey that I carried around in my pocket that day, and I will never forget that, ever.
You'll never forget that. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you'll never forget that because now you're alive and you're fed, you know?
Yes.
You didn't die from starvation that day.
No, I didn't, but man, it was a rough few days, so I really appreciated that. But I want the audience to get to know a little bit more about you. You have an interesting background. I think that would be fascinating for people to hear about. And I don't think that we've ever had a female powerlifter on the show before. So you're the first.
Damn.
So.
Okay. I'm humbled to be the first, but I'm a little upset that I'm the first because you train so many powerlifters. You know, men, women, doesn't matter what gender, but like you train so many athletes, you know so many athletes. So maybe that's just because you haven't done a lot of interviews in the past.
Yeah, we haven't done a lot of interviews because when we started doing, so this podcast has been on since 2014.
Right.
And when we started doing interviews, we would get the recording and the quality was so trash that I was like, no, we can't do this. But now we found some new ways to do it, better quality recording. So now hopefully we're going to start having more interviews with people, but only if they're good, only if they're people who I like what they stand for, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm a very picky person. So, welcome to the show, Katya. Tell people a little bit about you.
Okay, a little bit about me. So I grew up in Russia. I came here for college when I was 18 and spent my happy days learning engineering, math, and architecture at Duke. Only to get a massive depression when reality was shoved in my face after graduation, because I worked in construction management as a civil engineer and kind of found my outlet in the gym. I would go usually every lunch break because we're building a football stadium and the surrounding amenities. So the gym was right there. It was really nice. So that's when I guess I started like powerlifting more, but I was writing my own workouts. I wasn't very knowledgeable. I was still more of like a bro science person. So yeah, I probably have started like, you know, growing up in like a patriarchal society in Russia. I had pretty severe like body dysmorphia. I thought I was fat during my entire life, probably like the majority of the girls, and tried like every diet since maybe the age of 13. I've never imagined myself being able to do something athletic or something like impressive on stage, you know, be like a magazine cover looking human, which I later did do in bodybuilding, as you know. Yeah. But yeah, I guess I was kind of still in the back of my mind, like hoping that some sort of like athleticism will bring me closer to being skinnier, not fitter, smaller, and being I don't know, better looking for according to whatever the standards I had in my head. So the first thing I did was actually bodybuilding, not powerlifting. Mm-hmm. That was when I realized I really like training my girlfriends, and I do that, you know, for free, right? They just come crash my workouts. And usually if I train for 2 hours, I can see 2 girlfriends, and it was super fun. And then, you know, when I just realized that my life isn't making me happy, the construction job is not making me happy, I helped organize a Shark Tank and patent competition inside the company and got a freaking cooler for that. That was like the most insulting thing ever. Like, not a raise. I got a cooler, Danny. And and it was a great company, it was better than the other company that I worked for. But regardless, in the South, being a woman in construction is a really like alienating experience. The only ones that survive are the cool chicks with like big boobs who say that they don't have any other friends but guys, and they eat steak with them. And I was like, that's lame. So I wouldn't say like I was harassed there, but that industry made me, feel, I guess, illegitimate as a really well-educated woman, because I had blue hair and changed into booty shorts and a bra to run to the gym for lunch. Like, people would line up to watch me, and I was like, I'm your manager. Can you just tell me when tile is being delivered?
Right.
So, it was just making me sad that like some bearded intern had more credibility than me. And the way, I guess, even highly educated white women are treated in some corporate America standards. So I said, screw it, in January 2019 and quit it. Got certified as a personal trainer, started training some friends, then started training their friends, and kind of sort of grew, competed in my first bodybuilding show, second, etc. I think I did 4 total. I don't remember. Maybe less. I don't know. I have 7 awards. That's the only thing I do remember. They're on the wall over there. And then I got depressed again because looking like a magazine cover didn't make me happy at all. And
that's actually, I just wrapped up recording a podcast with Athena, and I said that was one of the biggest takeaways that I had from bodybuilding that actually was very profoundly helpful for me, was getting in the best shape of my entire life didn't improve my body image at all. And that made me realize it had nothing to do with my body at all. It was like my brain completely.
Okay, I will argue with you on the best shape of your life, because I don't think that looking shredded is the best shape of your life. I think I was in the best shape of my life. I'm in the best shape of my life now, strength-wise, but like if I, it's getting warmer, if I do a little more cardio, I guess I'm hoping I will be in the best shape of my life, maybe in a couple of months when I'm strong and I have endurance. And like, let's say if I did calisthenics or handstands or like any kind of Olympic lifting, it would drop down my powerlifting performance. But overall, as an athlete, I would be a healthier human and a more diverse athlete. So that would be the best.
I agree with you, actually. We talk about that a lot, how when you're on stage, it's probably the least fit you've ever been as an athlete, but it just, at that point in my life, it was the best like look that I had ever achieved, which is a subjective thing in and of itself, but within the bodybuilding criteria, didn't improve my body image at all. Didn't make me feel more confident in my body at all. And that meant, oh crap, there's like real work to do here.
It's funny. Probably only over the last year, when I've done the most therapy in my life and just the most thinking about this stuff, I've realized that like, I'm good. I'm enough. And like the comments that are like, why do normal looking people think they can teach other people on the internet how to lift? Don't offend me anymore, because it's not about how you look that makes you a credible coach.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And like, if nobody says this in like the NFL, right? Nobody says, oh, Bill Belichick has no business teaching Tom Brady how to be a better quarterback. He's in terrible.
Where are his touchdowns?
Exactly. Like nobody says that. But for some reason, when it comes to personal trainers, if they're not walking billboards of abs, someone has something to say, right? And it's like, F that. There's a million reasons to not have abs, actually. And there's a very short list of reasons to have abs, and one of them is just to shut people up, and it's not working for that. So I agree with you completely.
That's nice.
So, I'm sorry, back to you. So first of all, before you move on from there, so you did the bodybuilding shows,
yes,
and then got like depressed after that.
I got depressed, and then COVID hit, right? So I competed in 2019, got all kinds of awards, and then one of my, I guess, friends of friends, who was also Russian, who also moved here like forever ago, we had common friends. So every single common acquaintance of ours, shot him a DM that was like, he was a power lifter. I think he went to the nationals a couple of times. If he would have won third one time if he didn't break his back. But anyways, he was pretty high up there, and he was like highly competitive lifter. Konstantin Popov is his name. So he is a professor here at Chapel Hill. But yeah, every single person who knew both of us shot him a DM being like, hey, Kostya, you and Katya are both our local celebrity athletes. Like, yay, good job. And he looked at me. He was like, you guys are comparing me to a freaking bikini girl. Thanks very much. So he didn't say that right away, but he told me later. But anyways, he had an injury. I think he put a knife through his hand while woodworking or something. So that threw him out of lifting for a while. And he hasn't lifted. Yeah, he has lifted for a while. So he just reached out to me and he was like, he wanted to train like forever ago. You want to go train? So, since he was not training, and I was kind of stuck in this, well, I did a bikini, I wasn't satisfying, what do I do now? I guess figure, I don't know, but I got fat quickly. But am I a bodybuilder still? Like, oh my God. We were just going to the gym together and kind of sort of fell into lifting together, and he started teaching me powerlifting, which was a very humbling experience, because at first I was like, I know everything about the gym. But like it puts you back in your place when your progress isn't as fast as you thought it was, or when my form was crap and I actually realized it, like on deadlift. I didn't really know how to sumo deadlift before that. I've been lifting for years. So anyways, he started teaching me powerlifting. We had this shitty gym here in the middle of Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill Triangle, that was just like a bunch of construction trailers put together, some old carpets that have never been vacuumed since probably they've been put there. There was dust everywhere. There were these rusty plates and only a couple unbent bars. But that place had like it smelled like the sweat of world champions was in the walls of it, and it was full of chalk, and like it was just great. Unfortunately died during the pandemic. But anyways, we were lifting there. I learned a lot about powerlifting. He wrote my programs. We were getting prepped for a figure, and I think 4 weeks out, my first show got canceled, then later the second and the third, because so the last thing we went to together was my current coach's meet, which was when I saw my first powerlifting meet, which was the Arnold. It was SBD at the Arnold. That was the bar. I saw Lexi back here, my current coach, compete at the Arnold.
I mean, was it rough or was it just inspiring?
It was both. It was rough in the sense that it was March 2020. And the expo was canceled. I think I remember you wanted to go there and everything got canceled. It's like every year you can't make it to the Arnold.
Tickets were booked. We were supposed to fly out the next day. All of our stuff, I mean, dozens and dozens of boxes had already been shipped. They were en route, and then it got canceled and everything. Oh my God, what a nightmare. So yeah, I'm going this year for the first time ever. So I'll be there.
Hopefully you're going.
I'm going.
Let's have Arnold not canceled because Danny plans on going.
Yeah. Well, we'll know by the time this podcast comes out if I went or not. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great. So regardless, I was impressed by the powerlifting. They didn't allow spectators into the bodybuilding at the Arnold, which I did want to see, but they only allowed friends and family. So I was like, God damn it. Look at me. I'm also like in prep and I can't go and meet my fellow athletes who are competing at such a level. But yeah, we just hung out, and I guess I got fat again since all my shows got canceled, and continued building strength even at home. There was no motivation to stay lean because nobody could see me. I couldn't do like photo shoots or anything. And I think my biggest probably reasoning to stay lean was like to promote that I know how to do this as a coach, but later I learned it's not necessary.
Yeah. I mean, I totally relate to what you're saying. It's like sometimes you just want to show people, no, I actually do know what I'm talking about. I actually do know how to do this. Watch, I'm going to do it. Okay, we see I can do it. All right, I'm going to go back to being a normal human being again, if that's cool with you. I get it. I totally understand.
Yeah. It took me 4 years to realize that it's like unimportant.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you. When you know your stuff, people recognize that you know your stuff because you're people, your clients, are getting results. And that's
Yeah,
really
you can
what
look at the
matters
athletes
the
that you
most.
train.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Were
Yes.
you vegan through all of this?
I was vegan since 2016.
Okay. So had you already started lifting were you vegan before you started lifting?
No.
Mm-hmm.
I was vegetarian for my first freshman year in college because I read Eating Animals by Jonathan Safran Foer,
Mm-hmm.
but somehow dairy didn't click at all. So I just didn't eat meat. Probably mainly for health reasons. I don't even remember. Yeah, I think I was overall just very frustrated when I came to the States about the quality of the food. Like
Mm-hmm.
food here tastes the least good. We have the most variety, no,
Mm-hmm.
no question. We have the most variety of vegan foods, anything from everywhere in the world. But like you go to Italy and anything tastes amazing. Go to like Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Eastern Europe, Greece, like everything just tastes great.
Mm-hmm.
So here I feel like, yeah, we have strawberries in the winter. They taste like plastic, but they're strawberries and they're red and one looks like the other. I guess it's an
I've
Instagram
never been
society.
anywhere, so I'm going to take your word for it, but
Okay.
I'm not a very well-traveled person.
Says a person who travels like twice a month at least.
Well, only in the States. I've been to Canada for like a day, and I've been to some Caribbean islands, but I've never been out of the country outside of that. So, but I believe you. It makes sense to me that to me, it makes logical sense. Yeah, strawberries in the winter. That just doesn't seem like the best idea. So I believe that they probably don't taste that great comparatively. So you started powerlifting, and then tell us about like where that went after you started doing it.
Yeah, I started powerlifting and basically, I mean, I was trying to work out from home during the pandemic, and then found a country gym in a small town outside of the town that I was living in that didn't even require masks while lifting during the heart of the pandemic. And I was like, my mental health is struggling. I guess I'll just get COVID. I was still wearing a mask, but I signed up and I started going there. And that was my home gym for like 2 years-ish. It was a strongman powerlifting gym. So the biggest probably thing that helped me was like I still had a lot of work during the pandemic. I had the most work because people wanted it like in-house workouts and people gained weight. So, and I sat at home. So I should have produced content, honestly, but I just took on like double and triple the clients and talked to them all the time instead. But going to the gym was kind of necessary to stay sane. So I was doing that. And Alexei, the guy that I met at the Arnold, who was my coach's friend, my former coach's friend, he became my coach. Yeah, we've been training together ever since.
And when you started powerlifting, because I mean,
competing,
I think that you are strong as hell. I know you don't always agree with me, but I think you are. So I'm curious, like when you started doing this, when you started training to be a competitive powerlifter, where you get that feeling like, oh yeah, I've found my thing. Like, did you feel like that click into the right place sort of feeling?
I felt it after the competition and after the second and third competition. But honestly, my first competition was so random. Like I was dating one of the guys who was lifting at the same gym and he was getting ready for a powerlifting meet. And, I was just going to come and hang out with him because it was like next to Asheville, we could hike and stuff. I was like, yeah, I'll come see you compete. Of course. And he was like, you should compete with me. You can still sign up. And I'm like, nah, I'm not strong. And he was like, Katya, I looked at the roster. You'll probably win. And I was like, really? And it wasn't the winning thing. It was just the fact that like, I never considered myself super strong. I know you do. I don't know. I don't like, I guess I'm okay. But maybe it'll be empowering. Maybe it'll be fun. So probably the fun aspect was the most appealing. That like I could accomplish something. I'm like a type A person, right? So I can have a goal and I can go accomplish it. And then I can like have a guilt-free weekend of eating and sleeping and hiking, after your big thing. So I found out during bodybuilding and powerlifting that training for the event and anticipating the event is so much more fun and rewarding for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
And actually doing it, like, I don't think I have a lot of fun at the meet.
Mm-hmm.
It was just, okay, now we warm up, now we do this, now we
Yes.
do this, now where's my number, okay, this is my opener, okay, and it's just one thing after the other, and don't get off track, and like, yeah. And it's the same as like, I help organize veg fests. It's more fun preparing for them and promoting them and talking about them. The actual day is quite stressful. So regardless, I started feeling like a more or less legit athlete after I competed a couple of times and figured, like, I'm one of the strongest people in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's, I guess, kind of cool, maybe.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, unless I'm in a room of like kindergartners, I don't think I've ever been able to say that. So yeah, I think you're very strong. Tell the folks listening like what the numbers are that you lifted at your last meet, which was the plant built meet, right?
Yes, Mr.
I don't
America.
remember the exact numbers.
Yes. So squat was 165.
Wait, say it in pounds. Say it in pounds. They'll want to. I'll calculate it while you say it. You said 165.
Yeah, that's cool. I have it pinned in my Instagram. I can just open that.
So that's a squat of 363 pounds.
Yes. 363.7. No. Or 0.5. Anyways, bench 87.5 kilos, but I just didn't pause for 90, and then I realized too late. I benched 90 4 days later when I was traveling with the Veg Fest at a local gym. So I guess my lifetime PR is 90 kilos, but meet PR is 87.5.
Which is a bench press of 198 pounds for a female. That, I mean, for a lot of people, that's a lot. I know some men who cannot do that, but you did that as a female. So
okay, and deadlift was 172.5.
172.5 is 379.5 pounds.
Yeah, and the total was 425 kilos or 935 pounds.
Amazing. Very, very strong. Thank you. And the intensity that you bring to the platform. I mean, I just love it. I just love it so freaking much.
The intensity.
Yeah. So
I don't scream or I don't like slap myself.
No, but there's an intensity to it. It's awesome. I appreciate it. So suffice it to say, you've been pretty successful at powerlifting thus far, and also you coach other people in probably all sorts of strength and physique endeavors. But when you're coaching people with strength specifically, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you feel like you see people make when their primary goal is to get stronger?
Haha, I have a little cheat sheet. And I also had an Instagram poll of like what dumb people, what dumb things have the people that I know have seen other people do, with which the most of them I totally agreed. So I think the biggest mistakes for women is not lifting enough weight, being too careful, right? And the men usually have the opposite. It's just like ego lifting and equating moving the weight in space to training, you know, like
throwing it around.
If you're throwing shit around, that does not mean you're doing work. Like, per definition of work in physics, yes, work is being performed, but it's mostly gravity or momentum and, you know, whatever. So ignoring PT and mobility is a big one, or any kind of recovery stuff. You know, I know a lot of athletes who are type A personalities, you know, like you and myself and Julie and my client, you know, Julie, my client Caitlin, and my clients like Harsh and David, like they are, you know, they have goals. Like David is going to the nationals for deadlift for masters. And like, he's been lifting only for a little over a year. He's strong as hell. And when I'm like, all right, we're deloading, we're taking this week easy. Like, or when I don't know. So some new clients I think struggle with this is when I'm like, stick to the program.
Yes.
And they add more weight because they can. And I'm like, but then you're not going to max next week.
Yep.
And they don't max, and then they get frustrated. And I don't want to be the I told you so person But like, why can't you just take it easy? Because sometimes your body needs it. Or why can't you stretch? I know you're a man and maybe it insults your manly ego, or you don't have time, but like, yeah, skip your run every once in a while and do your freaking PT. Or you have an option of going to the doctor later and then prescribing your PT. I'm giving it to you for free. I stopped selling it because nobody buys it. I just tell people to do it because they won't otherwise.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's such a good point. And I was really, really, really hoping that you were going to bring up people trying to max randomly in the middle of their program. Because, I was feeling really good that day. And it's like, great, you just effed up the whole end of your program because you were feeling really good for 30 seconds and you don't even realize that you just like took your meat and just threw it away so that you could get this lift in the gym. Like, I get it. Like, you probably have felt it too. Like, oh, I know I could do more than this right now. But if you do, most of the time, you're going to pay for it when you really need to perform.
I actually have never added weight.
Oh, good for you.
Like when I have a program and it said X amount of weight, I don't add any weight. Usually I look at it and I'm like, holy crap, that's how much I'm supposed to do. I guess I will try not to die today. So like my coach is also really strict and I have a lot of volume. And I think that's like the only thing that I don't even need motivation or anything from this. I just know I'll get shit from him, which is enough of the motivation to not do anything different at all. He's a really like strict and I don't think conservative, but like he's a Soviet
old school
dude who never smiles and communicates with one word, but that one word can have so much message. You're like, yes.
Yeah. That's good that you've never done that. I don't think so. I've never competed in powerlifting. I love the sport. I love fighting the pro yet. Maybe someday. Actually, it's not a sanctioned event, but somebody just asked me to do a meet here. And I was like, I don't know. But it was the first time I thought about it. So, but I love writing the programs. I absolutely adore the sport and going to the meets. I actually like watching a powerlifting meet more than I like watching a bodybuilding show personally.
But there's more energy. There's just energy. In bodybuilding, it's like,
I think there's more positivity too. Like there's more support from the crowd. And even though it's a competition, it doesn't feel cutthroat the way some bodybuilding competitions can be. And I'm sure like at the top level, I'm certain that it's cutthroat, but I'm talking about little local bodybuilding competitions.
Because it's more objective, right? Like if they lifted more weight, they lifted more weight. It's not like she looks amazing, she looks amazing. They both look amazing.
Exactly. But I don't think I've ever had a single powerlifting client that didn't at some point do more weight than I wanted them to do. And they learned something that cycle. So.
Yeah, I think for the majority of my folks, like it's obviously there's more personality types than two. But if we overgeneralize, like I have people who always sandbag. And I'm telling them, can you please do shoulder presses with something that's heavier than 25 pounds? Like 25 pounds per arm is your minimum. And it's a woman who's been lifting for a while. Like if I know she can do it, I've seen it. And she does like 15. And I'm like, Mary or Sarah, come on, man. And there's the other ones who just go overboard all the time.
Yeah.
But I think the majority of my folk who stick and they're going to compete either in bodybuilding or powerlifting, or they're just gaining strength for whatever the local thing, like they stick to their numbers. And I also try, like I give some RP, but I also like to give exact numbers, not even percentages. Like I will calculate their number that they put on the bar. They don't need to think about it. They just put it on the bar. And if you mess that up, like I don't know what else I can do for you.
I do the same thing. It's a mix of the numbers and occasionally RPE, because I think that's a good thing to learn, right? Like I think it's a good thing to learn how many reps you have in reserve and what that kind of feels like. I mean, how do you feel about that? I'm curious.
Yeah. I like reps in reserve. I mainly give that for accessories, or if it's like if we're far away from the meet, if we're just messing around and learning. In the beginning, I might start giving them RPE and just see how they feel. And then that will help me learn more about their personality and the way they treat lifting, the way they treat their body, rather than if they can actually guess correctly. So that will give me some more input on like what they won't tell me. And then I'll use that to write their program in the future.
I totally agree. And sometimes I'll write the weight and then I want them to write the RPE they perceived it as at the end. So that, you know, I'm
Okay.
still telling them what to do, but I want to know what it felt like to them afterwards. And there's so many questions you ask that you're not actually looking for that answer. You're looking for the information behind that answer, which tells you something about that athlete. You know what I mean? It
I'm
sounds
gonna
like
have to make a note for
the
that.
same thing. So any other big mistakes you see people with strength goals make? I have one in my head and I'm curious if it's on your list.
Yes. Ignore form outside of the gym. The majority of my athletes don't get injured in the gym. They get injured while helping a friend move, while I don't know, lifting a couch or heavy grocery bags or something. And like you bend over with your round back. You don't think you're doing a deadlift, but you are doing a deadlift. And then the farmer's carry.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's a weird compliment to get sometimes, but I feel like it's so drilled into my brain that like when I'm picking up whatever heavy that thing is, I will do it with the best form possible for that purpose and to use the least amount of the least amount of effort and to use the most amount of like geometry to make it easier on myself, because I only need to lift in the gym. I don't need to get extra exercise outside the gym. You know, if my friend helps me, you know, ask me to help them move, I'm like, damn it, you asked me because you know that I'm strong and that was your logic. And I kind of appreciate, but like I only lift things in the gym.
Yeah.
You know? So anyways, I can even like see if clients are good or not good recognizing this, because they will say, do a dumbbell deadlift, bring the dumbbells to the spot where they're deadlifting with the most shit form, and then just like
Yeah. Oh yeah.
while doing the exercise. And I'm like, what were you thinking? You're still carrying the weight. Can you please carry it appropriately? Or put the plates on the bar. A plate is 45 pounds. It's a lot of pounds. Can you like squat down a little bit to grab and use your legs to get up? Because you say it's too heavy. It's too heavy because you're trying to lift it with your freaking biceps.
That is such a good point. I have had a lot of people, I always ask to see videos of people's Romanian deadlifts, because I feel like that's an exercise a lot of people do wrong. And so many videos will start with them doing the worst deadlift I've ever seen from the floor and then performing perfect RDLs. And I'm like, okay, guys, that lift off the floor, that was way riskier than anything you just did in that set. Like, we need to treat this barbell with some respect every time we pick it up, or it's gonna hurt us. So I totally agree. That's a really good one, actually. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry. In terms of not enough weight lifted, my first point, I guess, I don't necessarily want for people who don't care about getting strong or jacked to do so, but we all age. A lot of people choose to give birth. When you get pregnant, you all of the sudden gain how many pounds? 10, 20? It depends on the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a lot right away. Your joints are not ready. Your ligaments, your tendons are not ready. Can you please take care of getting them stronger first? And then after that, you're carrying a baby. So your chest, not just that you're working on the computer being a little T-Rex, but your chest is closing more. Your pecs are shortening because you are always like this, and the baby's growing and you're even more hunched. You know, that's why, like, as I guess a lot of women get older, we have weaker upper bodies. We must work on strengthening the back. We ignore it. We just want to lose weight and be freaking skinny because society told us that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
And then you can't like unhunch yourself. So your skeletal structure gets ruined.
Mm-hmm.
So strength training is good for, all of the reasons, right? Bone mass density, osteoporosis, and just to not get prematurely old. In your body and how you feel for both men and women, I guess, but in the upper body, women, in the lower body, men need to do more freaking legs and posterior chain if they don't power lift.
Right.
They still need to do rows and back. It's not all the front. It's not all abs and biceps and pecs. Those things are cool, but I've never seen a person with a saggy biceps. Look at the triceps. Everybody has a saggy triceps. Do things that are behind you, I guess, more. That's another comment.
That's a good tip as well. A lot of women actually, they just talk to me about training their arms. You know, they think a lat pull down is an arm exercise.
Yeah.
A bench press is an arm exercise because women have never really ever even thought about or been told in general, of course, about training their chest or their back or their shoulders even. It's arms. Everything is arms in the upper body, which is just
You're
really,
moving arms, so people think what you're moving is what is working, even though it's the adjacent muscle that is working. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. I mean, quite frankly, I don't care what they call it as long as they do it. So, but you know, it's nice to know what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
The only other mistake that I can think of, or not the only other mistake, but a huge one that I can think of, and I'm curious if you've witnessed this. I think I know the answer, but people that have strength gains that are not eating enough to get strong.
Oh, well, you train more bodybuilders than me, and I'm a lot easier on, I guess, my folks. And I won't even give them diet breaks sometimes. I'll just be like, this day, you're not allowed to track.
Yeah.
And they freak out. But then, like, I try to hit the not eating enough problem from the body dysmorphia perspective, about which we can probably record another podcast.
At least one.
At least one. Yeah, you've had a body dysmorphia series on YouTube. I've had mine on Instagram with a lot of examples of what clients have experienced and told me what I've experienced. So, yeah, in terms of not eating enough, I think the majority of my guys don't have that problem. The majority of my female athletes stop having this problem when they see that they can still lose weight while eating more than they have and being full and like training how they like and doing no cardio. So like I'm about to post a testimonial from one of my athletes who's going to compete in 6 weeks, Caitlin. She's been lifting with me for like 3 months, if that. She lost 9 pounds and she's really short. So it's like very visible. Gotten stronger. And like, so she's gained muscle, and whatever the 9 pounds she lost is probably more in fat, because she's probably also gained muscle, right? If she's getting stronger. So she's like a different person. And she would have never believed me she needed to eat that much to still continue to lose weight.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's a huge problem of, and maybe it's less obvious sort of at the beginning of, I'm just going to generalize here and say women. Yes, I've met some men who are under eating, but like you said, it's a much more female problem, because we're just, like you said at the beginning, just constantly taught to be smaller and smaller. And what do you have to do that? Eat less and less and less. But I feel like as somebody gets more like intermediate, in their intermediate, you know, the newbie strength gains are gone, where you just start lifting and eating better. And suddenly it's like, you can train really, really smart, but if you don't start eating a little bit more, you're going to have a hard time increasing your numbers. And I feel like that's a really hard sell for a lot of women who, like, at their core are just terrified of gaining weight or putting on body fat. Or, you know, I do work a lot with a lot of people who have bodybuilding minded goals, but they also want to get stronger too. And some of them are just staying too freaking lean to actually get stronger. And they're not willing to be a little less lean to be a little more athletic and strong.
I have a challenge for you, Danny. Can you like trade clients? I'll take those wonderful people and teach them how to live.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes, I think, for people to recognize the trade-off. You know, the trade-off of a certain look for a certain level of, you can't have it all. You know, like very few people,
unless you're a genetic freak. Yeah,
very few people are capable of having it all at once.
Yeah, maybe those people just leave me soon, because when I show them pictures of, they see videos of me now, and I show them pictures of me bodybuilding. There's not a lot of like videos from my bodybuilding days, because I was, you know, rushed. I was wearing like the sweat belt and all of this dumb shit that I believed was so real and was so helpful. So I mean, I didn't look good, and I was also miserable. I was like alone, starting the business, studying for my tests. There are videos from that era, but like I showed them the videos of me lifting then, like I'm not enjoying myself. I'm just I'm trying to get through it, and now I'm just like, yeah, let's hit what was it that I did yesterday? I converted for you 308.5 pounds, 3 sets of 5. Let's just hit it. That's the day.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm fat. I care that I get up.
Mm-hmm. Well, you feel better. People don't really, truly, honest to God, like the average person, maybe not this podcast listener, because at this point we've really hammered it home, but the average person does not understand that having some body fat on your body versus being really lean feels 1,000,000 times better. You are a nicer person. You are a more energetic person. Your sleep is better. Like, there are so many reasons to have some body fat on you're stronger. Like, I could go on and on and on and on. The only benefit to being really lean is that it looks kind of cool. That's it. And even that's subjective,
I would say it looks different. And I would say we're taught to perceive that that's, considered a good thing, right? Look at any Disney movie. I'm about to record a video on body dysmorphia that's going to have examples of good characters that are all, over exaggerated, like feminine facial features if they're female, waist that's like this big. I mean, look at Jasmine, look at like any fairy, and look at the Ursula or like any evil guy. They're always old, fat, ugly, old, fat, ugly. It's like, am I an ugly person? That means I'm bad? Like, you're born with some sort of a face that is considered ugly or not in whatever the culture, society, and time that you live in. And those beauty standards constantly change. So trying to chase that is like a losing game. Just wait a couple years and your body shape will be in style. Don't you worry. Have a big ass? We got that for you. You're into, can't gain weight? Well, Cocaine Chic is coming too.
Yeah.
Just wait a couple
I swear
years.
to God, Athena and I just had this conversation an hour ago for the last podcast, which is actually going to be the next podcast that actually comes out. So stay tuned, guys. Dive a little more into that. But it's so true. Like, we were talking about how most of the time, if there's a movie and there's an overweight person in the movie, like you just said, they're either evil or they're the butt of the joke. It's the joke. That's the whole joke is, oh, this person is fat. Ha, ha, ha. Like, are we not more clever than that? Like, that's so stupid.
According to our politics, not really.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to your body dysmorphia Disney series. That sounds
it's
right
just one of the examples that hopefully I'll manage to plug in there.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. But yeah, I've found a lot of people are just like super frustrated that they're not getting stronger. They're not getting stronger. And I'm like, okay, I got an idea for us. We're going to bump up the calories a little bit. And they're like, whoa, 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 hold your horses. I don't know about that. I just want to get stronger. And I'm like, okay, well, the programming is on point. You need to eat more or move less, I guess, if you want to. But we need to increase the calorie balance here.
One thing that you kind of sort of mentioned in there is like the progress is not fast enough. Rushing progress is a huge mistake that a lot of people make. It's like they see the, 6-week transformations or however many 5-minute transformations. And it's like there was apparently no plastic surgeon involved in whatever the advertisement that you saw. And this person who is like 65 looks like a 35-year-old and they look amazing. And like, you can do that too. Just buy this thing. Cool, but you can't do like 2-day shipping for a 6-pack. So like my bench was stuck at the same place for about a year. Was I frustrated? Yeah. Did I stop lifting? No. I wasn't really eating more or less per se, because I don't really track what I eat. I just try to get enough protein and then kind of do whatever outside of that. So if my weight goes slightly up or slightly down, it's like, okay. But my bench finally went up. I went up 12.5 kilos since last year, but it was like
a significant amount of weight
within a period of 2 months, Danny. It was literally stuck at the same place. And then something just happened and it just went up. So, and I've been lifting for a while, so I don't get beginner gains and shit like this will happen. So just saying, don't stop lifting.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you completely. So my next question for you, which we've already gone over a couple, but maybe you have some others too. What are some strategies to avoid injury when chasing strength goals? My number one rule for my clients is do not get hurt, because if you get hurt, you're out of the game for a certain amount of time. So I know we talked about doing your PT like preemptively, and you just mentioned not chasing strength goals too fast. do you have any other advice for avoiding injury? Because I remember reading a statistic a couple years ago that like 82% of competitive powerlifters are walking around with an injury. So it's a high injury risk sport. And I want to know how we can get that number down.
Can you send me that study? I'm just curious what population they're using, what year that was.
I remember reading it a couple years ago, but I will find it and I will send it.
The reason why I'm asking is powerlifting is kind of still a niche sport, but it's gotten like massively more popular over the last 5 years. Just massive. You know, like I can count the amount of powerlifting gyms in the area, in the, you know, not a huge metropolitan area that I live in North Carolina. It's insane. The majority of my clients have a home rack, barbell, and weight setup in their what's it called when it's 2 people and kids, or 2 people uni, you know what I mean?
I don't think I do.
Okay, cool. I'll remember the word and say it, and if I don't, then but like a typical, you know, family of like 2 people and a kid, or 2 people and something.
Nuclear.
Which is like yes, thank you. Yeah. So where was I going with this?
Powerlifting and how much it's blown up in the last few years.
Yes, I don't think as many people would proportionally get injured like now necessarily, because there's a lot of rookie powerlifters. There's a lot of like home powerlifters, people who, you know, may not compete. They just kind of do it for fun, for something that's different than running, you know, to stay strong and have fun, maybe with their loved one, maybe connect with a kid or a neighbor or friend. So people start doing it as a more like recreational activity. You know, CrossFit blew up. When did CrossFit get like invented or like entered the market? 10 years ago?
It has to be a little bit more than that, because we introduced our team when it was still pretty new in 2014. Okay. So probably around 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I would say when sports like this just get introduced, and you know, I've had a lot of clients who came who are like, yeah, so I tried CrossFit and like my back hurts. Like, can you actually teach me how to do this stuff? And I'm like, okay, cool. Show me what you did. And they would show me, and I'd just be like, oh, okay. You don't bump the barbell forward with the hips during a clean or a snatch. It's supposed to go directly up. You just get under it. And I'm not even an Olympic lifter, really.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like it's good when sports like this get popularized, but then like the amount of rookie lifters increases and the amount of injuries may increase. It is concerning. 84% of powerlifters do get injured, but yeah, in the gym also, not like carrying a couch. Was that in the gym? Do you know? Or just injured?
I don't remember it exactly, but I know that it was I believe it was a study of competitive powerlifters. I don't know, maybe it was recreational. Yeah. Like I said, it's been a while, but
yeah.
You know, I do think that the things that you mentioned are really important. I think really taking the time to learn your form before you start really getting heavy with it, I think that's really important. I think a lot of people think they're doing all sorts of lifts correctly when they're not, but especially squatting, benching, and deadlifting in maybe less than ideal ways.
Yes.
And then trying to get really, really heavy with it, and then boom, weakest link goes out, you know?
Yeah. Yes, in terms of avoiding injuries, stick to the program, do your PT, take days off. The majority of my athletes train 3 days a week, maybe 4. If somebody hires me and I give them like 3 or 4 days and they're like, oh, but I used to train 6 days a week, 3 times a day, you know, and I'm like, well, now you ain't.
Yeah.
You told me to give you an optimal plan. This is it. All right, what do I do with all this other time? I don't know. Write a book, get a girlfriend. Like, yeah. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life, but this is what you should do for lifting. You should just chill the rest of the time. Can you chill, or are you like me? Because I cannot chill.
Right. Story of my life. But yeah, it is really frustrating when someone's like, I need you. I think you know your stuff. Tell me what to do. And then you tell them what to do. And they're like, yeah, not like that. And I'm like, no, that's you can't have it both ways.
Right.
Very funny stuff.
Yeah. Oh, in terms of getting injured, don't try to hit new strength PRs while leaning out, because you will hit a point where you're too lean to progress in strength. You can probably still progress in strength and deficit, especially as a newbie, but there is a body fat percentage. There's a leanness level that you're going to hit, that your joints and ligaments and tendons are going to say goodbye recovery-wise, especially if you're doing high-intensity cardio or, God forbid, HIIT, which the majority of people don't know what that is. They think that interval workouts are HIIT, high-intensity workouts. They are not. But if you are even doing interval workouts that are higher intensity than aerobic and anaerobic, stuff that you do in the gym and in your cardio, likelihood of injury goes up. Pick a goal and stick to it, and then pick a maintenance plan before you hit that goal. So if your goal is get X amount on a platform or compete in bodybuilding, cool. After that, what's the plan?
Yeah.
Cool. And then you can reevaluate for the next plan.
That's great. I really like that a lot. I always tell people the only exercises that you're going to get stronger at as you get leaner are push-ups and pull-ups because you're getting lighter and light. You'll get a pull-up PR because you're lighter now. Like, enjoy those. That's it. Did you notice anything that, any specific changes to your performance, your physique, your anything by going vegan?
Yes. I will preface it with this. I don't really want to exaggerate how much lifting I was doing before I went vegan, but I was doing something. I was trying to run. I was sucked at running, hated it. I was trying to do, yoga, hated it. I was trying to do, the only thing that I liked was strength training and doing something with the weights. But that's probably because my dad really likes to lift weights. He built, all kinds of crazy contraptions in our basement, from pipe and rope and a pulley system and this thing. He built a machine that is for adductors and abductors. That is a pulley system that goes like this. It starts from one end of the ceiling and then goes around the room, and you hook it up to the knees. So it looks like some sort of a 50 Shades of Grey device, because you hook ropes to your knees, and then you can, do your adductors and abductors. It looks so freaky, but it works for him, and he's had 2 back surgeries, so he has to do a lot of these exercise prone, which means laying on the ground. So anyways, watching him kind of invent all of these things and invent his own workouts, really, I guess, empowered me, even though I was always Dad, just not today. Can you leave me alone to do my freaking homework? I don't want to try your weird pull up, dip situation or whatever he was doing. I'll do stuff with him occasionally, but I guess when I went to college, when I came to college, the biggest revelation while being in the States is everybody, all of the, I guess, I don't know, middle class, at least, and higher educated, successful people, which I was trying to blend in with. I was trying to, you always try to blend in with whoever you consider are the cool kids, especially when you're 18 in a new country. So I was looking at, people who are smart, they look good, they are nice. And the majority of them, it wasn't a question whether they were going to the gym. They just did.
Right.
Back home, that was not the case at all. And still, even when I visit, it's really hard to find a gym. There's no way you can find a gym with powerlifting plates. There's no way you can find a gym with a stiff barbell or a deadlift barbell. It's going to be some shitty whatever barbell. I don't know why. But yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never been to Russia, obviously, but that is almost the opposite of what I imagined in my mind. Yeah, so that's really
because there's so much corruption. Things just get kind of, I guess, stolen, and I wonder where the hell all these powerlifters that win stuff in Eastern Europe train, because I think it's a post-Soviet problem, not just the Russian one. So regardless, I was not really an athlete, but I was lifting more or less, and I was stronger than an average woman throughout college and a little after college. But I don't consider myself becoming really an athlete until 2019, when I started bodybuilding, or 2021. Yes, when my first powerlifting competition was in March.
And what year did you go vegan?
I went vegan 2016. So the differences between vegan and non-vegan, I can't really say in terms of strength, because I wasn't on a program before, and then after I was. So you'll make progress when you're on a good program and when you're eating properly. But what I can say is that what prompted me to go vegan was blood work that they did at work. And as a 23, relatively lean person, I think I weighed like 145 then, and I'm
Mhm.
like 5'6.5". I felt like there was like a brick in my stomach, that something was just heavy, even when I tried to lift or run. And I think I saw Cowspiracy and then Forks Over Knives, and then you just go down the rabbit hole of vegan documentaries, and you're like, oh my god. So I just noticed how light I felt
Mhm.
in my intestines the most.
Mhm.
The fact that I could like run fast and not worry about my stomach, or like my side that started to like cramp up and hurt, or like yeah, my blood work in I think 8 or 9 weeks I redid it, and my cholesterol dropped 3 times, and
Wow.
so did triglycerides. So I have blood disease history in my family. Everybody has high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and they think it's genetic. It's genetic. Well, stop eating animal products. It's gonna stop being genetic.
Yeah. I agree with you. I deal with the same thing in my family. They're like, "Oh, we all have high cholesterol." I'm like, "Well, not all of us, actually."
Yeah,
Those of us
yeah,
that decided to go vegan seem to have turned that around. So
yeah.
yeah, that's interesting, and that's cool that you actually have like documented blood work around that time. I wish I had something like that from that
Yeah,
time.
I need to post about this because
Oh yeah.
I have this, but it's like personal. Um, yeah.
So we got a couple of questions from people
Yes.
online, and they're really big topics. Again, these could be podcasts of their own entirely. So we did talk a little bit about body dysmorphia already. So the one I really want to talk about is thoughts. This is such a huge topic. Thoughts about PEDs in strength and bodybuilding, and how or if it aligns with vegan core values. Wow, that's a big one.
That's a great question. Thanks, Julie. I think we need to start with what are core vegan values.
I mean, I think you're going to get a lot of different answers to this question, but
Right.
to me, it all comes down to not harming animals, not using or exploiting animals. Like, it's not for me, vegan values. It's not about health. It's about animal rights. I know other
Yes,
people
I agree.
disagree with me, but that's how I feel. So,
Yeah. I guess to me, environmentalism is huge.
mhm,
So it's like, yeah, killing animals is bad, but we're also killing ourselves and our future generations. And it's
mhm,
like peeing in the well that you drink out of. Like, why are we doing this to our planet when we literally have all these other food options and, home body care products? Like, it's dumb. It doesn't make sense.
mhm.
So if the PEDs don't create more waste or suffering, then yeah, I mean, you can go ahead and harm yourself if you want.
Right.
That's totally your body and your choice.
Mhm.
Um,
And I think a lot of people don't realize that for the most part, and I'm not an expert on PEDs by any stretch of the imagination, but my understanding is that most steroids are synthetic. So,
yes,
yeah, I used to think that testosterone, it came from animals, but it's not. They're mostly synthetic. So I think most of them are technically vegan. So
yeah,
if someone decides to go that route, I'm not going to do it. It's not for me.
yeah.
But if somebody goes that route, I'm not going to think they're less vegan for it, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right. Yeah, if we're talking from the vegan standpoint, I think people can do whatever the hell they want. And if they're like a high performing athlete, that is competing in a non-sanctioned federation, if they're strongmen, which are typically not non-sanctioned, non-drug tested, federation, non-drug tested sport, like, yeah, you can do whatever the hell you want. They're synthetic. And actually, I do know some people who use PEDs not only for strength or like any kind of athletic goals or to look a certain way, but they use them to get less injured in small amounts. So, such as like if you're an aging athlete and you still want to compete,
Right.
you're not at a super high level, but like some steroids, for example, like get prescribed, like in Israel, they get prescribed to like old women a lot, so they don't
Mhm.
have, joint aches and things, and they can just jump around like 20-year-olds and feel like they are, even though they're older, and they don't necessarily lift weights. So there are other benefits
Mhm.
to some steroid drugs. They get prescribed for autoimmune disorders and things like that, right? So steroids are not always bad. They can get prescribed to make you feel better depending on what conditions you have. When you talk about steroids and, SARMs and other PEDs, I don't know, testosterone, growth hormone, all kinds of other hormones, they get not necessarily prescribed, but get
them somehow
consumed.
Yeah.
Only for strength or aesthetics goals. That's just the choice of that individual athlete, that I don't think makes them less vegan or proves less of a point that like vegans can compete at a high level, because I don't know any vegans who do take them, I think, which is kind of great, but it's also kind of sad because we don't have that data, and we could compare like vegans versus meat eater who do use PEDs. How does that work? Like, I would be curious to see that. Would that be good for those people? I don't know, probably not, but
yeah. It's a tough situation, right? Because it's illegal. And I mean, I would make the argument all day that it probably shouldn't be illegal. I mean, it should be regulated, but I don't think it should be illegal. I think if it wasn't illegal, people would talk about it more. Because I do know some vegans who use steroids, and I'm not going to out them or anything like that if they don't want to be. But they exist. Okay. Suffice it to say they exist. There's, nobody on Plant Built, that's for shit sure. So we better remember that. But there are vegans out there that are taking performance enhancing drugs that are competing at a very high level. Okay. So the data's not there, but I think pound for pound, I think it's the same thing whether you're vegan or not. That's my best guess. And that's their choice to do that, And I think I actually will give a real hot take here, that I think we do need some vegans to be going that route. I'm not throwing myself on that sword, but there are people who want to do it. But without anybody doing that, we don't have anybody performing at that same level.
I agree with you.
And then people say, oh, well, see, vegans just can't hang. And it's like, no, it's just that most vegans are choosing not to take steroids.
Right.
When everybody on this stage or this platform or this competition are taking steroids. So it's not the same playing field. It's just not. So when some vegans do choose to go that route, it's not for me, but I'm going to cheer them on from the audience. So, but it is a hard topic. And I actually agree with you. I think the biggest gray area is, like you said, older folks or people whose hormones are dropping into the too low to be healthy level. And then we give them just enough to be healthy, but then they could never compete in a natural organization.
Right.
That's a tough spot.
They could get HRT, get testosterone, they could get, some other things. Yeah. And they're prescribed by the doctor, not illegal anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But in bodybuilding, at least in natural bodybuilding organizations, even if it just puts you in the healthy range, you can't compete, even if you were low before. So I don't know. I don't think there's a perfect system for it at all. And of course, there's all kinds of other performance enhancing drugs that aren't hormones at all. Yeah. Right. But it is a really interesting conversation. I think the biggest problem that I have is when people take them and they lie about it. That is where I get actually truly pissed off. When people say, oh, follow me for my top 10 tips to build your glutes. And it's like they left out the most important tip they have, which is their pharmacy.
I'm on steroids.
Right.
Yeah. I got a butt lift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't get mad about it anymore, because I feel like the majority of people do lie about it. And the majority of influencers or experts, internet experts, they do lie about it. And if you don't know this by now, then I'm sorry, I guess. Welcome to reality.
I just think most people don't know it, because I will have people message me and be like, hey, did you see so-and-so's post about this or that? And I just want to be like, oh, honey, babe, they're on drugs. And I also don't want to sound like that salty ass hater who just thinks everybody's on drugs either. It's just listen, sometimes I know. Sometimes they told me, okay? I know they're on drugs. And it's no shade to them, but don't be selling your booty building plan when you didn't even build that booty all by yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that also goes for people who didn't build a booty by themselves because they took drugs, but also people who didn't build a booty by themselves because their coach or, husband, whoever did that for them, they got all the plans, all the meals, and they didn't do anything. They don't know nothing. And then they can be in one show and be like, I can now train you. I can teach you.
Yeah, that is such a
Cool.
good point. But that goes back to right what you said at the beginning. Like, one, you don't have to be the best athlete on earth to be a fantastic coach, but also you can be the best athlete on earth and be a shitty coach and not know anything.
I know
You
coaches
know?
like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's such a weird industry. It's such a weird. Sometimes I look at my life and I'm just like, why am I choosing to be in this industry that is just like feels like my head's spinning around all the time? But you know, I love it. So here we are. This is such a fun conversation, but okay, this is getting super long. So how about this? Two things. Two things I want you to tell people. One, do you have anything cool coming up? And also, where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they watch your stuff?
Okay, made a lot of notes on this too. Let's see. So it is February 2023 right now, and probably the soonest things that are coming right now is my clients competing in meets in the spring and in the summer. So I won't be competing. I'll be supporting them. One or two people are supposed to go to the nationals. I think one already signed up, but it's with USBA, so they're still like debating because of the scandal. So I may be in Memphis and I may be in Vegas for that. The easiest places where you can find me and actually hang out would be Veg Fests. So if you go to 𝐬𝐵𝐽festexpos.com, there is a calendar of all the vegan festivals that I support, and I'm friends with the organizer and volunteer for as many as I can. I try to remind people to come and promote them. I am a frequent speaker with them. I usually have a booth there. You can usually get a bunch of free stuff from my booth or from the sponsors that year. I think this year will be 𝐬𝐵 probably. But yeah, you can definitely stop by, hang out, ask me questions. If that's not enough for you, there's always a calendar on totalbodylab.com where you can just throw yourself on my calendar, and you don't have to like immediately have a goal of becoming a client. You can just book 10 minutes to talk to me and have like, be like, yo, Katya, I'm not a texter. I have these questions. It will be easier for me if you outline that in the appointment like description. Be like, hey, I just found you on the internet. I have these questions. What people normally do is they message my DMs, which is fine. So I've responded to you on Instagram, on Facebook. I do have TikTok, but I'm not very active there. So if any of y'all do TikTok, want to be my TikTok manager? Because I don't want to be my TikTok manager. I suck at it. I'm a millennial, not a Gen Z person. TikTok and my brain is just like, ugh.
What's your handle? Tell them what your handle is on those.
Oh, yes. Total Body Lab is the handle on TikTok. Gorbacheva E. So my last name, letter E, is my handle on Instagram. Total Body Lab Instagram is just a library of clients' transformations that I probably haven't updated over the last year. And I guess I started it back in the day when I trained mainly bodybuilders, and now I train more powerlifters. So there's no like before and after, squat or deadlift. I don't know how to like post that because people who don't lift won't know what to look for when they see, or they won't be very impressed. And it's like, oh, she's lifting a bunch of weight here. She's lifting a bunch of weight there. Looks strong as hell. And she's also not very lean. Why would I want to be like her? I don't want to look like her or like you. You guys are fat. So like, I don't know what to put in there because it's supposed to be like a visual library. Recommendations welcome. So yeah, Veg Fest Expos. I'm probably doing 9 of vegan festivals this year. Don't know which ones I'm going to speak at yet, but I'm going to be at all of them except for the one in October, because that's when I'm hoping the Plant Build team will gather again to go to Mr. America. And that is probably going to be my only meet this year, unless I find something in the spring just for shits and giggles.
Awesome. Awesome. Oh, and your YouTube channel. Tell them about your YouTube channel.
Oh boy, yes. I thank you, Danny. Yes. So I've had a YouTube for a couple of years, but I did not learn how to edit, so it sucked. Now I'm learning how to edit. The thumbnails look cool. I have equipment. I have like microphone and camera. Look, it's it's nice, and I've invested time into this. So I'm trying to make content that is actually relevant. And something that I would watch, or something that like is bothering me that I would share. It took me a very long time to get to this point where I wouldn't just want to broadcast something clickbait, but something that like I actually give a shit about. Like I'm gonna make a video soon about comparing lifting bras for small-chested women.
Amen.
Because that's something that bothers me, and I don't care if you, creepy guy, want to watch it for other reasons. That will still give me watches and hopefully likes. So like and subscribe to Total Body Lab YouTube for all kinds of content with very strange humor.
I love it. It's a good YouTube channel. You guys should check it out. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Vegan Proteins Muscles by Brussels Radio. If you have any questions or things you want to hear about, you can always email us, coach@veganproteins.com. If you're interested in any kind of coaching, you can check out veganproteins.com. We have all different levels for all different goals. And you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Vegan Proteins and at Muscles by Brussels. Thanks again so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Katya, for being here. This was a lot of fun. And we will talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you, Danny. Bye.